Hey, how y'all doing today? My name's Joseph Bates, also known as Paco, and today we're going to be talking about the causes of the Great Depression. Now, what could be the causes of, hold up. Sorry, I was wrong. Kind of starting for a second, might need to start over. The causes and the consequences of the Great Depression, excuse me. First of all, let's talk about a couple causes. Well, during this time period, a little bit after the Roaring '20s, when everything was all good, everything just started to come to a slow decline. But how did this decline come along? Well, first of all, after World War I, there's a lot of debt, so they devised tariffs and war debt policies that could cut down the foreign market for American goods. So, that kind of just brings economics down. Then people had the ability, to borrow from their own margin, and, which is basically the availability of easy credit. Then there was also an unequal distribution of income, which we also still experience today. And then stocks. During this wartime period, there was a lot of rebuilding. All these many things having to go on in Europe. Europe is devastated from war, and one of our allies in Great Britain, they're gonna need supplies. So we have to overproduce in a way. So we're trying to crop, at least get some wheat so they can get some bread, because for some reason bread is just magic. I don't know. So we're sitting here farming wheat and we overproducing wheat. And then all of a sudden, now we have too much wheat. England doesn't, Great Britain doesn't need any wheat anymore. So what are we gonna do with all this excess? Well, that's when we come in. When all the excess is produced, the prices drop. So imagine the stocks of wheat companies that sell wheat and farm and whatnot. All that's going down, and prices for wheat's going down, and now what's gonna happen to the wheat? It dies. When it dies, you gotta get rid of it. And then once that happens, now dirt's loose. There's also a drought that went on, and grass also died. So dirt was loose. Wind swept up the dirt, and thus begins the Dust Bowl. Now the Dust Bowl is going to look a little bit something like this. So the Dust Bowl really is just a really large cloud. Here's the other day in class, they were talking about clouds being on the ground, clouds being up. But you know what? A cloud is just a mass of air. In this case, dirt happens to be in the air, or dust. So it's a giant cloud of dust. And let's also keep in mind that, the dust caused people to move. With the mix of the dust in the top places, like it hit major parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, and Colorado. And with that, who wants to be around a whole cloud of dust? Nobody want to walk out the morning drinking their coffee and just look to the left and like, oh, there go the dust cloud. No, it ain't attractive. So people would, pretty sure not all of it was just based on it just being something to look at. But people with all that going on decided to move away from that area. Because dust cloud also could be dangerous. You inhale it and your lungs might get dry or something. And so with that, people started moving towards the west. Go west. I want to go west. Whatever. And they moved to the west towards California and other Pacific states. People from Oklahoma specifically was called Okies. Because, people had, haters. Like, oh, you people coming in our area. They had to do something at least to make fun of them because they felt uncomfortable about it, so they called them Okies. But now the Dust Bowl, it wasn't the only reason people moved around and suffered hardship. let's look back towards, you know, what was going on economically. All the stock exchange crashed, you know. And you know, when the stock exchange did crash, it was called Black Tuesday. Black Tuesday was the day everything just went down. It was done with. It's over. When that happened, especially with big companies, they couldn't just, you know, shut down the company. That's not what always happened. They had to let go a lot of workers. With letting go a lot of workers, guess what? Now the workers don't have money. People who used to work and had money had houses. People who had houses now live on the streets, which means they're homeless. Now with them being homeless, not having no money, they're going to have to live somewhere. So eventually they migrated into little places. Now these little places, excuse me for a moment, these little places are called shanty towns. Shanty towns, a bunch of shack houses. If you ever watched District 9, it was kind of like that. Had just built shacks. They lived in them and basically kind of lived in them. They're very small. There's not a lot of space. Just imagine your whole house or whatever just being one room basically. Your bedroom, your kitchen, your living room, all those things, all just one room. It's probably pretty uncomfortable. And one of these shanty towns was called Hooverville, which at the time President Hoover was the president, and you know, nobody really liked him all that much because he was called. They blamed him for the Great Depression pretty much, like, oh, you the president, you in charge, you're supposed to fix this. It don't look like you're fixing nothing. So eventually that came to the name of the town, Hooverville. Cause, you know, saying it's his fault all these people migrating into these little city villages or whatever of huts and shacks. Now, being homeless and all, you're not having any money, and most people just not having money or jobs. How they gonna eat? Well, anyways, these soup kitchens, you know, people would go to soup kitchens, and that's how you feed the homeless. They make soup. Well, not always soup, but you know, they make other things besides soup. Just soup happens to be the easiest to make, you know, just throw some water and some seasonings and some food in it, and it just naturally gets flavors. Pretty easy. Fills you up real nice. And then and you know, they had lines where you can get bread or just basic things like that, or coffee and, you know, things of that sort. So, you know, people could at least eat something. You don't want half of America, well, most of America starving. What's a country gonna do without citizens? Generally, that's what happened during the Great Depression. You know, stocks crashed and farming was down. Dust Bowl happened. Whole lot of dust came in, and you know, it's a very uncomfortable process. You know, you wouldn't want to breathe in the dust. You know, especially, and you also can't see nothing. You don't know, you know, fall off a cliff. And then you have the migration of people leaving because they don't have anywhere to live, so they got to find somewhere else to live. And the Dust Bowl also caused people to move because can't generally survive around that. You know, try being blind for 5 seconds, get lost. You know, anyways, so that's all I gotta say. And hopefully you guys at least learned something and, you know, actually heard what we were talking about. Remember, stay in school, okay? Stay in school. Alright, so that's been a report from me, Joseph Bates, aka Paco, coming to you from Mr. Butler's second period, American history, and deuces. You guys, don't forget to subscribe, leave your oh, hold up. What am I doing? This ain't a YouTube video.